Hello, everyone. We are jumping on for my self-publishing Q&A live series where we go over my 52 weeks worth of strategies to write, publish, and start selling your book in a year and 52 weeks. We are on week 41, which means that we are editing our third drafts. This week, we are officially heading into the last quarter of the year of this self-publishing book journey that you have hopefully journeyed down. I don't presume to know where you are at in the process. If you're just now joining me, welcome. If you've been here along the way, also, congrats. I'm proud of you. Your plate is hopefully filled to the brim with marketing, managing your team, and setting up the required back-end business structures, as well as, everything else that's going on in your life right now, which tends to be a lot sometimes. But luckily, we are going to dive back into the juice that keeps this whole machine running, your writing. By now, you have some feedback and suggestions to incorporate into your second draft, thus creating your third draft. And this is what we are going to be focused on primarily this month. I recommend focusing on one set of edits at a time, starting with your editor's feedback, instead of juggling multiple manuscript copies at the same time. It can get very confusing and overwhelming that way. We are going to simplify and focus our efforts. Often there is going to be conflicting feedback between multiple readers, and you will typically want to weigh your editor's suggestions more so than your beta readers because they are hopefully the professionals. They have been doing this for a while now. This is also why creating separate copies of your manuscript when you are engaging freelancers is important. You may edit a section based on your editor's feedback, but then receive an amazing suggestion from a beta reader on the same section. And since you won't be able to find that now deleted section in your manuscript, you can go back to that other version that you have on hand to reference what you had written previously. Having multiple copies is also very helpful when systems fail. Accidentally, your manuscript may be deleted for some reason or another. And, having these multiple copies in place in different locations is also beneficial. First and foremost, I want you to glance through all of the edits that you've received, your editors, your beta readers, to look for themes or trends. This is purely surface level. Do not start changing things just yet. Are most of the edits about grammar and diction? Are they about structure and character development? Are there certain sections or chapters that have more feedback than others? This is more data to add to your improvements list. Remember when we started looking for education and training opportunities in week 29, that was a while ago. These edits will give you even more insight into where you can improve your writing skills for when you are looking for continued education opportunities. I also want you to look at the comments and see if there are any passages, sentences, or phrases that your editor and or beta readers absolutely loved. My readers like to comment various asides as they are reading through my manuscript, like, I love this line, or I'm screaming, or this is so cute, or this is so romantic. I get a lot of those comments, and we will be strategically using those comments in week 50 for our marketing efforts. So for now, I want you to screenshot those comments and copy and paste them along with the phrase or the sentence or the section that they're referring to in a separate document for future reference. We're going to use those later on. Just title it excerpt comments and we'll be able to find it easily later on down the road. These are the golden marketing eggs. Second, start by addressing the edits that are easy fixes. Adding commas, deleting semicolons, capitalizing proper nouns, or turning ellipses into em dashes and vice versa. That's low-hanging editing fruit when it comes to this whole process. I use Google Docs for my manuscripts. I know that is a controversial take in some circles, but I find it easiest for me. And so when my editor gives me her feedbacks, I can see the comments on that Google document. And so I spend some time scrolling on my phone through those comments and suggestions on that Google Doc, and I can just hit that little check mark to accept her edits with a simple click of the button. If you're using Microsoft Word or some other program, you probably won't be able to do this from your phone, but the process is still more or less the same. If you just automatically accept all of those minor edits like periods, commas, semicolons, capital fixes, stuff like that, this will likely reduce the amount of edits and suggestions you received from thousands of comments to hopefully less than 100. Most of the comments and suggestions and feedback that you're going to get from your editor are going to be grammar edits, all of those punctuation things. I lost my place. This will save you a lot of time and stress. The moral of the story being, this step, going through all of those edits on my phone and clicking the accept button, usually takes about 4 hours. I literally just lay on my couch and scroll through and hit all of those check marks to cut down that amount of time that I spend editing. Third, you will then dive into those trickier, more in-depth edits. This is where you really need to consider the individual words, the sentences, the paragraphs, the dialogues, the sections, the chapters that were marked by your editor and beta readers. Some folks like to address these in chronological order from start to finish, but I also recommend using a prioritization system here. We prioritized first the low-hanging punctuation grammatical edit fruit, and now we're starting with the trickier edits. So we want to go from easy to hard with our prioritization scale. Start with the edits that are easier fixes, like synonyms or sentence structures, and knock those out first before you try to tackle the sections that require more intensive reworking. I find that I get too lost in the weeds when I try to give every single edit the same amount of attention. I start questioning everything if I'm attempting to consolidate a range of suggestions instead of ranking them in order of importance. So the synonym that you use for said in a dialogue tag is going to be much less of an issue than the 3-page dialogue that contributes nothing to the plot. So we want to focus on those punctuation edits first and foremost. Then we want to focus on those sentence structures, dialogue tags, synonyms for the second step. And then for the third step, we're getting into those 3-page dialogue sections or those huge sections that need more zhuzh. Spending time worrying about whether a clause goes at the beginning of the sentence or the end of the sentence is going to be a lot less fruitful than figuring out if you explained a fundamental concept enough. Remember that your manuscript is going to go through another final round of editing before it is published, so give attention and effort to the developmental corrections this time around, more so than the minute details. I also recommend spending time and giving yourself time on those big edits. If you are dealing with that 3-page dialogue and it feels very essential, but it doesn't really make sense, sleep on it. Give yourself time and space to process it before you change anything. Give your brain time to consider it. Remember, way back in the beginning of this, when we were talking about the healthy mind platter facets, we were talking about sleep time and how sleep time is needed in order to perform at our best. That's when we have our brains integrate and process information for us. And so some downtime, some sleep time, some daydreaming is going to help you come up with better ideas and solutions to these big edits than if you try to fix it all on the first try. So your exercise for this week is to integrate as many edits and suggestions from your editor and beta readers as you can to prepare your third draft. You will have all of this week and next week to finish this draft. Ideally, you will be able to hand it off to your editor by week 44, which is 3 weeks from now, and receive all of the edits as well as reviews from your beta readers by week 45. So keep calm and prioritize accordingly. Remember, we are starting with the easiest edits all the way down to the hardest edits. And the hardest edits are going to need time to bubble. They're going to need time to process. They're going to need time to marinate. So don't feel like you need to fix everything right out of the gate. Cull down those comments and suggestions so that you can get rid of all of the easy ones and then focus on the ones that are most important. Next week for week 42, we are heading into that editing week, so stay tuned for that. In the meantime, please do hit me up if you have any questions. That's what I'm here for. I'm proud of you and I believe in you. I know that you are going to make a kick-ass book because you are trying. You are putting effort into this, and I know that you are going to succeed. So take care and best of luck.